Hey everyone, it's Matt here, and today we're going to be going beyond vibe coding. And that means we're going to start looking at a platform called Devin. Now, like many of the other videos I've done, I've never actually even used Devin before, but let's experience it together so you can understand exactly how easy the platform is to use and what it's capable of doing. Let's move right over to the platform and get started over there.
So unlike some of the other vibe coding platforms that are out there, Devin kind of positions itself slightly differently, where it's like this helpful AI software engineer that you can give tasks to that can go off and do their own thing. Very similar to agent mode with some of the other platforms that are out there, but with just slightly different spin on it. Let's just dive right into it and get started and show you how easy it is to use. So I'm going to come up here and click Get Started. I'll start with my GitHub. We'll authorize it on my account here. Connect GitHub. Authorize integration again here. My personal account. We'll stick it on this Node API example and then click install. I'll select the Teams plan here. Now, just an FYI, there are a couple of different plans that are available, and those plans are essentially based on credits or tokens. So the core plan starts at $20, and that's going to give you about 9 credits, and most tasks are going to take somewhere between 1 to 4 credits is what I'm told. Then the team plan, which is $500 a month, that one there is going to include 250 ACUs at about $2 per ACU or credit. And that's Devin's language for, or Cognition's language for agent compute units, so essentially tokens. And then if you go beyond that, you continue at $2 per agent compute unit. And then, of course, like many companies out there, they also have an enterprise version as well, and you can get a hold of them to chat with them about that. So I'm going to click on the Teams plan. And then I am brought into our kind of empty state of the app. So here, I can select a repo. I'm going to grab my Node API example. And we've got a few things that it's saying that we can do here. So first, roast recent commits from Matthew Tanner 91, search for a handful of places in the code that could be more efficient, then create a report and open a PR to fix one, and then explain the architecture of the code base to a new engineer. I'm going to unselect that, and let's just have it do these 2 things here. So I'm going to do begin 2 tasks, and it successfully started those. I can see those tasks right here, and I'm assuming that I'd be able to click on these and see exactly what's going on. So let's do that. So here, if I click on the code efficiency analysis and optimization, I can see that it's setting it up. It's likely getting some context from the code base. And then the same thing is happening here. And we can see that it's doing a few things. So explain the architecture of a code base to a new engineer. That's the prompt, the system prompt essentially that was sent through. And we can see here that it gives me a bit of an intro, and then I'm able to see essentially its logic as it's going through things. So I can see that it's parsing through that structure. Let's see what we've got going on over here. And we can see that it's still working on both these tasks. So this is a little different than the experience that I've had with Cursor and Windsurf and some of the other platforms out there, where this feels a little bit more like a team versus, me just kind of vibe coding my way through stuff. So I'm giving individual tasks to these agents to do, and I'm going to let them go ahead and do that. All right, cool. So it looks like the code base architecture documentation looks like it's done. Okay, so now we can see that the project that I have there right now, it only contains a README and an initial git commit, no actual Node.js API code or structure. Now, let's go through and actually build a working Node API example. And let's see if I can figure this out without knowing exactly how the platform works. Let's see how intuitive it is. So if I do new session, what do I want to get done? I have 5 repos here. I am going to pick this repo. It looks like there's 3 agents available. Basically, it looks like a basic agent where browser, shell, editor to act upon your requests. Deep agent, better at complex instructions for 30% more cost. And then ask, which is just quick, getting quick answers. And that's more of like, I would assume like code questions that I'm just trying to figure out the code base or trying to figure out what certain logic does. Now, if I come here, let's just say, let's build a basic Node.js/Express API project that manages CRUD operations for users of a generic SaaS application. Let's see what it does here. I'm being a little bit vague here so I can show exactly what it's capable of doing. And this is what I do with a lot of the other platforms as well, just to see what decisions it's going to make and how good the agents are on their own. Let's run this and see what we can do here. Now, the code efficiency one probably isn't going to work because there's no code there yet. But here's what it's saying to me. So it's saying that there's nothing here. So it looks into it and it's saying it wants to create a Node.js API structure and then implement performance and security optimizations, document all the inefficiencies, and then verify it. So this is actually kind of neat, and it gives the confidence as well. I think this is the confidence of the platform being able to do this. All right, so we've got 2 agents going now trying to build this. And let's see. Let's stop this. Let's pause this Devin agent right now. Okay, we'll pause this because we know that this one is actually working on this as well. So this is neat. It's got like kind of this plain text way of telling us exactly what we're doing, but we can also see the commands that it's running in the background. Definitely a different experience than what I've seen with some of the other platforms. Again, I would say looking at how this is working, to me, it kind of moves away from the vibe coding stuff. I think there's definitely a place for vibe coding. I mean, if someone is working on a project from scratch, refactoring large chunks of stuff, and they want to be able to kind of feel a little more hands-on with it, then I think that's great. But then this looks like a bit of a flip side on things where it's able to go in, make decisions, and I really like the fact that you can run multiple agents here in the corner doing vastly different things if you want them to do it. So check this out. It actually has raised a PR1. So add performance optimized Node.js API. And if I actually click see details, and this will bring me to the PR. Okay, so we've got a health endpoint, status endpoint, sample users, and new user with validation. Testing checklist for human. Interesting. Verify the approach alignment. Test all endpoints thoroughly, validate. Okay, this is actually quite cool. So it's telling me, hey, I've created this base project. Here's the human side, almost like that business level acceptance testing portion of things. There's also hopefully a test plan as well. Oh, interesting. It even threw a diagram in here to show me what's going on. Very cool. This is a little more information than I thought we were going to have, and even shows me how to do all the stuff. So we could potentially even get a non-technical person or a less technical person to come in and be able to test out this stuff. So you don't necessarily need to have expensive engineers working on testing the implementation. You could have folks that are a little more cost effective working on the testing as well. Very cool. Let's see what happens if I come into the files and how I can make a change here. So we'll go to server.js and let's find something that we want to change. Let's make it so that we don't want to use compression. I don't want to use this compression library. We can scrap this. Let's see if it'll take my language here. Okay. Let's do start a review. And let's see if it's automatically going to pick this up. If I need to say something back to Devin here in a second. And then, yeah, let's just do finish review. And then I'll do Okay, let's see what happens here. You can see that I've requested one change. I'm wondering if it's going to pick this up automatically or if I'll need to do something separate. Let's head back to Devin here and see. Oh, look at that. Received feedback from GitHub comments. Okay, deciding action. Neat. This is really cool. Again, you can see somewhat of the difference between this and some of the other platforms out there. This feels very much like an augmentation of a team versus an augmentation of an individual developer, which is pretty neat. I can see places in enterprise, from my experience in enterprise, where this would be very, very useful. Stuff like, adding unit tests, just basically giving an agent, someone say, hey, go create unit tests, another agent for documentation, and then even refactors and technical debt, stuff like that would be great to have through here. I really like this PR portion of things where it's able to pick this up, and you can see here, it's changed it. It's then tried to retest it to make sure that it works. Okay, pushed branch. Okay, let's see. We should reflect the removal of compression library and the latest changes made to the code base. Yeah, this is quite impressive. Again, I'm looking at it from not necessarily from the agent performance side. I think a lot of the LLMs and those back-end agents that are on the other platforms, they're all quite good across the board. Really what it comes down to for me is being able to differentiate between these different tools and what their use cases would be. If I was building something from scratch, maybe I would go to one of the other platforms, vibe code it out, and then when it comes to the actual support portion of things and having long-term maintenance and support for those platforms, that's maybe when I would switch over to a platform like this to then manage it beyond. So it's pretty hard. To me, it's quite hard when I think about if I'm building a SaaS application, for instance. There's a lot more to it than just building the initial application. The ongoing maintenance of it is really a tough piece. And it seems like this tool would be able to do that for me, where I could go in, tell it like, hey, I have a customer request from this specific customer. Can we implement it? Can we document it? And then, can we test it? Can we do all those things? It seems like having all those independent, almost jobs that you would give independent developers, you could then bring up a Devin session for each of those and have it work. One thing that I would ask is, and I'd have to play around with it more to figure this out, would be, are those sessions kind of aware of each other? So like similarly before I had that session for creating that user CRUD API, if it had started creating that, would my other code efficiency analysis and optimization session that I had, would they have kind of trampled over each other? That would be something that might be of interest to check out, and something to be conscious of if you're running stuff kind of in parallel. Okay, so we can see that it's been updated here on this pull request. Let's go back over. Look at that. Okay, let's do a few changes and let's see what it's refactored. So I can see it's removed it from the package.json. I can see that in the performance analysis report. So this looks like just almost a README file that it created. I can see that it took out the comments there. I can see it removed compression, and I can see that in app.use, it took out that middleware as well. So now if I approve this, submit review, let's just assume that I tested it. Let's see if it picks up here that it's been merged over. Look at that, PR1 merged. I can see here. Now I could continue, obviously this. It says Devin awaiting instructions, so I could tell it more. Let's run this again and see. So let's rerun this job on the updated code and see what happens here. All right, it's gonna check the updated code. I can see that it pulled from main. Oh, interesting. On the side here, I can see how many ACUs it used. So 0.2 ACUs, 0.02. Okay, interesting. And then let's just check out this here as well. Oh, so there's a browser version of VS Code that shows up here too, so I can see it working in real time. This is neat. Browser, I'm assuming this would be more front-end apps, being able to see what's going there. Oh, neat. So essentially you have an all-in-one IDE here. I haven't checked out the integrations with other IDEs for this, but this is really, really neat. There's also some stuff that I saw that, I guess the Slack capabilities of being able to integrate it with Slack and then control those agents via Slack is quite neat, especially for non-technical folks, or if you've got it working on things and you're going to step away from your laptop, it makes sense to be able to do that. A lot of these platforms seem to be moving towards that mobile style development where you're able to do this stuff on your phone. I haven't really played with that much. I don't see much of a need from my side of doing that. But if you're someone who is on the go and wants to be able to develop right directly on your phone, then I think it's a great option to have. Let me come back over here, analyzing the code base. Okay. And if I uncheck that, then it goes away. Now, similar to some of the other platforms out there, I do also want to take a look at the search capabilities that it has as well. So this Ask Devin capability. I'm going to just ask it a question about Node.js security. Is my code following Node.js API security best practices? Let's just see what it comes back with and see what experience we have from here. Okay, so we just needed to push it just a little bit further. That's why. Fair enough. Okay, now it's saying that we're missing input validation, environment variables, error information disclosure. Okay, let's see if we can create something from this. Can you create an agent and make these updates? Let's see here. Let's see if it can do this. Okay, let's do this. Let's grab this here. Come back. Come to our analysis one. Can you make the following updates to the code to help with security? And we'll dump these here. And I'm going to get rid of that. And let's see what happens here. And let's just see if at the same time, while that's going, let's create a new session. And I'll still just use the agent, but let's create some unit tests and end-to-end tests for the API suite in this project. I think it's probably already added some. I didn't really look at the code that closely. But let's run that in the back end here while we have it still working on our other instance here as well. I do like this ability to be able to run these things asynchronously. It's quite neat. And we can see what it's doing here. Adding JWT auth, input validation, environment variables. Okay, and then, yeah, and this is the thing that would be interesting to understand. Again, would be now that we're making changes on this one here, will those be updated in this unit end-to-end test one as well? I'm assuming that I might have to manually prompt and say, the code's been updated, please update these tests. Or there's maybe a way to schedule it so that it somewhat listens to those changes and then will apply a new set of tests or tweak those tests as it needs. So it looks like you can, so I manually cloned my API example here, but it looks like I can just set it up in a Devin workspace so it doesn't have to consistently pull it down. That's probably what I need to do in order to make sure that all of this works correctly, or else it might be keeping it separately in memory across each of these sessions. Yeah, super cool interface with this. Again, this is the first time that I've actually used this. I've used quite a few of the other tools, especially over the last few weeks. I've been doing a big deep dive, which I'll put those videos out shortly, around some of the other vibe coding platforms. But this is really, really great the way that it feels. It feels more like a team tool than a, a vibe coding platform like many of the other tools out there. Okay, I got a notification here around the analysis and optimization stuff. I can see the PR link here, and I'm just going to click on it. Let's just check it out. Okay, awesome. We've got this checklist for human, which I really, really like. It shows me the diagram here as well of what was done. And then we can see who requested it. So it was me. If it was a team, I'd be able to see who was there. You can see, yeah, these notes are really, really nice. The way that this works, I'm like super, super impressed with the flow, like the workflow that you're getting from this.
Well, hopefully that gives you a good idea of what Devin is capable of. And to be honest, the more that I was using it throughout this tutorial, the more that I realized, wow, this could really fit into a lot of the workflows that I'm doing now, or ones that I've done in the past, especially in the enterprise realm. I think tools like Devin are a critical part of that AI development toolkit, especially when you start to look at team augmentation versus just individual developer augmentation. If you want to try out Devin for yourself, I'm actually going to put a link in the description below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more AI coding tutorials and to watch me play around with some of the latest tools. Until next time, happy coding.